The man of the hour. He's been in film, TV, and currently he was on the hit show Cobra Kai. Please welcome the handsome bastard that he is, Jesse Kove in the house, baby. How are you?
What's up, man? How are you?
What's going on, brother?
So glad to be here, man. Thanks for bringing me on.
Oh man, it's an honor to have you. You know, Jesse, you growing up, did you always wanted to be an actor?
I uh, I always loved the arts. Like grew up around movie sets my whole life around the
Mm-hmm.
world. So I was very fortunate. But it's funny. People have asked me because I my parents never pushed me to be in the industry. My dad never wanted me to be in this industry in the first place because it's just so crazy. Um, but by the way, can we curse on here or no?
Oh hell yeah! Give it. Listen, I got athletes, actors. They curse. We.
All right. So my dad never wanted me to be in the industry because it's fucking crazy, as you know.
Is it
But
because
it's also
is it because your dad really cared about you because what he went through, getting rejected all the time? You know what I
Of
mean?
course,
Right.
of
Okay.
course, you don't want your kids to get hurt or feel rejected, but it's just it's part of the game, and that's okay, and creates character. But when I was about 18, I really started doing this professionally. I was always in the my high school plays and in the music and theater program and making movies on my own and making movies with my toy soldiers and stuff when I was little. So it was always in my blood. I was always doing it. And I always had fun doing it. So when I started doing it professionally, it just never felt like work. And that's one of the reasons I love it so much. It never feels like work to me. The only time it feels like work is right when you get a script and you got to read it for 5 times for the first time. You got to just take the time and discipline to do that. But other than that, the creative part of it and diving in and doing the research, it's just such a blast.
No, I totally agree. Wait, did you play high school sports? You look like a jock to me. I mean, what's going on here?
And I loved playing sports in high school. I mean, I played baseball, love baseball. Like my dad, I could throw the whole field. It was great. I played catcher, and I was also in the right field. I had a blast doing that. I played a little basketball. Loved playing soccer. It was great. I've been an athlete like my whole life. I work out like crazy. In fact, I've actually got my pre-workout drink right here, as Dwayne Johnson would say. I think it's unicorn piss, and it's something that I love to do. It's a part of my daily routine. It just keeps me sane, keeps me on track, keeps me focused. And yeah, it's been interesting, of course, during COVID to change up the workout game through all this, but it's been good.
Did you see that picture right there? Look at you. You're all ripped up.
Oh, look at this guy. Oh no, I'm over here. There we
Yeah,
go.
right
Look at
there.
this
You
dude.
see
Who is this shirtless man? Oh boy. Oh boy.
So, all right. So, when you were like a little kid, right? Um, when when it was like parents' night and the kids have your parents have to come, right? And like when you were in
Yep.
elementary school and they saw your father, the teachers, they're like, "Oh shit, hold on a minute, you're that Karate Kid guy, right?" Did that ever happen?
Totally happened all the time. Especially it was worse when like I have a twin sister, Rachel.
Mm-hmm.
When we were playing sports, he'd be on the field. He'd be like, "Go, Jesse, go! And Rachel, go!" And they'd be yelling. All of a sudden, John Kreese comes out as he's yelling at these little 10-year-olds trying to kick the ball into the goal. And people's like starting to back away from him. But my dad's obviously competitive as well, and so am I. Oh, you got my sister up there. That's beautiful. I
You
love that.
know it, baby.
It's
You know it.
beautiful. It's beautiful.
Hey,
Look at
forget
you with
about
your
it. All right,
family.
go ahead. Now, so your dad's from Brooklyn, right?
Yes, he is. Proud New Yorker.
Did he go to Brooklyn College or no?
He actually went to college in
College.
I think he went to I think it was Miami State, I think, or something. He went to Miami for a little bit.
Oh,
He
okay.
went down there because everybody in New York goes down to Florida.
Yeah, well, of
And
course. That's where I played college baseball down in Florida. I was
oh,
at
okay,
Palm
so
Beach
you know.
Atlantic University. Yeah, I know. That's where I got my
Um,
scholarship. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. By the way, what are you smoking? By the way,
I'm smoking this. It's called. I don't even know what it's called, but it's a good cigar. It's my boy Armin, and I smoke it all the time. You know how I started smoking cigars? When I interviewed John Starks, a former Nick,
okay,
it was way back in the days, and he goes, "Listen, you want to interview me? You better smoke cigars with me," because I was at his lounge.
I love it. I
Yeah,
love it.
and then
Actually, funny enough, I have this framed picture of my dad and I. That's in Havana,
oh wow,
right there. That's he and I in Havana, Cuba, smoking some Cubans together. The Hotel de Nacional. It was pretty cool. pretty cool moment.
So
Obviously, my dad and I love cigars, so.
well, yeah, I love him too. The way the way you smoke him. But you know what? This is about you now. All right, let's get back to you. All right, come on. We'll get to your dad later.
Yeah.
When you were walking around like at the airport when you were a little kid, did you remember people coming up to your dad? And you're like, why are they coming up to my father?
Yeah, there was always a point where I was like, what, like, why are these people admiring him? And I don't understand. And then, I knew he was an actor, and, I would see some of his movies when I was younger, and some of them were really violent. And he didn't want me to look at them, which was really funny. He always tried to like hide my eyes, rightfully so. But, it just kind of, he was always my dad. So this was just a normal part of life for me. And, it's sometimes it's hard for some people to understand. Funny enough, like one of my dearest friends in the world, Weston Coppola Cage, his father's Nicolas Cage. He and I went to high school together, and he and I are like brothers. And he and I like totally understand each other because of our upbringing and having our fathers in the movie industry, which is, a very specific lifestyle. And so, it's funny that like you find someone like that just totally understands what that's like to grow up in that environment and, have people come up to your father and appreciate their work and just the industry in general and how interesting it is and the job and what it requires. And you're raising a family and, your father goes off for 3 months, 6 months, playing some soldier in some movie in the Philippines or whatever, which, obviously that happened to me. And, but again, at the end of the day, he's still my dad. And, he would always come home and we'd play toy soldiers and he'd come to my soccer games. And, I love these photos you're posting. These are some of my favorites. That photo I was holding off to post. We took that shot and I wanted to put it out when Cobra Kai came out. I just love that shot. That was basically how we felt when season 3 dropped.
Jesse, I grew up without a father. He left us when I was 4. And I when I see your dad and you with your pictures on Instagram, I say to myself, man, that is a definition of a dad, man. The way you guys love each other. Like, I see you guys are like best friends, you know what I mean? And I love seeing that as the father-son relationship. I don't know if your parents are divorced or not. I mean, relationships, but even though they're divorced, that's fine. It happens. But the fact is, he's thinking, that is my son, that is my daughter, and I love them to death, and I will do anything for them. And I love that about your dad, the way he was still there for you and your sister.
Thank you. That's so kind, man. I appreciate that. Yeah, we we definitely been through the trenches together, but at the end, we are very close. That's basically like the epitome of our relationship is that photo.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a point in time where, as I became, I'm 30. I don't care. People are weird about their age. I don't care. I'm putting it out there. As I was growing up, there was a period of time where, I kind of became into the man that I was. And there was like this equilibrium of he and I just being these men, father and son. And, having that relationship, it was really, there's certain things you couldn't do with your dad when you were younger or whatever. I couldn't have a cigar with him when I was like 10 or 12, And there comes a point where like you can sit with your dad and you can have a cigar and I could, maybe have a glass of Macallan or something and enjoy those kind of luxuries with him as men. And it's really nice. It's really nice to have that. And, and also in the film industry as well, we really help each other out a lot. This movie right here, a perfect example. This is D-Day, and that was something Weston, my buddy Weston and I were in actually. And, he came to visit me on set, and I said, oh, there you go, you got it, perfect. He came to visit me on set, and I said to the writers, I was like, guys, can't we just throw him in here somewhere? Like, let's just put him on the beach, let him get shot with a machine gun. Like, he'll just love it. We'll blow him up, he'll love it. And they go, oh, would he really do that? And I said, yeah, of course. They paid him crap, but it was fine. And he came in, he had a beautiful scene with my buddy and I, and, things like that just come up. And, we love to help each other out that way, because the industry's tough. And, it's nice to be able to do that for each other. I brought him into a lot of my projects, and he's brought me into some of his projects. And, for him, obviously, he usually doesn't have to audition for a lot of these things. I just tell them and they want to bring him in. They will audition me, which is, fine. I audition just like everybody else. Same thing with, Cobra Kai. Yeah. And, but I enjoy that, we put the work in and, it's a great experience to have with him, and we cherish it. And I've said this before, when my dad and I are on set together, it's like summer camp. We just laugh, we have a great time, we understand cinema, and we just want to do the best work we can. We really push each other to do that, and it's just amazing. Oh, I love that photo too, man. So great. Again, that just epitomizes our relationship.
I love
Right
it.
there.
It just gives me like, oh man, look at this guy. You're blessed. I mean, you got a great father, great family. So now, speaking of training, okay, you graduated
Yes.
from high school. Where did you train as an actor? Did you go to the conservatory? What did you do?
So I will say the best acting class I've ever had was obviously being on movie sets most of my life.
Totally
There's so
agree.
many people that can take class and then all of a sudden, I'm not putting going to acting class down, but there is a totally different energy when you're actually on set and you're around all these people and you've got to stay focused and what that's like. I mean, acting class prepares you for that in certain ways, but getting on set, which is obviously not easy, but understanding that and really looking around and feeling the energy and the environment that you're in, that's always the best acting school. But I did tons of acting classes. I've worked with my coach for many years, Michael Wilson. I worked with Margie Haber. I did a tiny bit of Stella Adler. I did a little bit of Leslie Kahn. I've done a lot of stuff. You just kind of take little pieces. Larry Moss as well. I consider myself like a student of Larry Moss. You just take little pieces from all these classes and you form your own, I guess, identity with it. And I think that's very helpful. I don't just follow one strict
Right.
protocol. It's kind of I'm always adapting and changing as I'm working. I'm finding new ways to do this. I feel like it's like that example of like when is a painter ever done painting his painting? When is that last brushstroke? Never. And I think that's just the artist's way. We never really have an ending. It's always like I've looked at projects I did 5 years ago. And I'm like, oh, I could have done so much better. I could have changed this or that. And it's a great process. But I think training is the best thing, obviously, that you can do. Just like your body, working those acne muscles is so, so important.
No, I totally agree, and because a great actor is an actor that could also change the voice and speech and the physicality, the movement. It's not just play myself. You are using yourself, but you're also trying to figure this character. How does he talk? How does he move?
Yep.
And I noticed that with you in Cobra Kai, and we're gonna talk about that later. We just want your journey right now, all right? So you did good on that, but hold on a minute.
Yeah.
When you audition, what is your take on auditioning? For instance, all right, we could talk about Cobra Kai. When you got the script, who did you call first and say, I want some coaching on this? I'm sure you know how to break down sides and a script. I'm sure you're good like that. But did you call anybody and say, oh, you know what? I want this bad because my father's in it, right? I mean, I'm just imagining I'm you right now. Talk to me about
it. Well, some projects you can get coached on. I'd like just to kind of fine tune some of the stuff I'm doing, and get a nice like professional opinion. And then maybe there's some ideas that you didn't think of. I didn't for Cobra Kai was on my own. I think if anything, I knew the fucking Karate Kid universe and the Cobra Kai universe.
Right.
I born and raised, and I totally understand, obviously. And then my father, and then it's when I got that, which I auditioned for, which I really, and of course when I got the audition, I really wanted it. Of course, I put a lot of work into it. It was also just a matter of like, respect and honor for, even if I didn't get it, I wanted to know that I gave it my all, just because of the subject matter of what it was. And so I worked very hard on it, and I went in there and I did the audition. And a week and a half later, I got the call that I got it, and I was just thrilled, absolutely thrilled. I was still trying to figure out what they wanted from me, when they were filming, because they kind of kept it a secret, some of the stuff that they wanted to do, and I didn't even know that I was really going to have this scene with the younger version of my dad. It was kind of like, oh, I'm just playing this bully, and I wasn't really sure what we're going to be doing. But I understood what they wanted from this character. I love the shot of Barrett plays young Kreese. He's such a great actor, and he's become a dear friend. And we talk all the time about the craziness of all this. But and then I, of course, I called my dad and asked him his thoughts. And, again, because this was a flashback sequence, it was almost like before his time from some of this stuff. And, he had his ideas about, the young Kreese stuff, which was not what I was doing, but they insinuated that I was young Kreese. So at the beginning of these scenes, I was really embodying my father, the way he talks. And, when I say right there in the diner, I say, what was it? I said, the enemy, they're the enemy. You don't show them mercy.
Right.
That was my dad when I was saying that stuff. And, I know how he talks and how he speaks and the way he was walking and everything. So, which was fun. It was great. And so that was the process of, pre auditioning and what I did with that. And it was, such an enjoyable process. And I remember I got the call from my manager. He was just so excited. And it was great. It was just great, man.
Jesse, did you remember the choices you made when you auditioned? Did you remember the choices?
I remember when I was in the room, I remember saying this in the room. I was like, how much of a dick do you want this guy to be? And they were like, we really want him to be like just the biggest dick ever. And I was like, all right, done. And I went in there and I just was fucking being the biggest asshole possible because, even though I kind of understood what they wanted with the whole story, I had a feeling that this was, mostly for me bullying the younger version of Kreese. There he is. And I was like, well, if I'm bullying the biggest bully ever, this guy's got to be horrible, Mm-hmm. And so, I went in there just really, really being the biggest asshole possible, which, everyone I meet usually says that they're like, how did you do that? You're the nicest guy. I'm like, I don't know.
You did it well, man. You did. I was like, yo, I want to fucking punch this guy, man. Picking on this guy, man. Such a bully.
Yeah, it was bad. It was bad. And it was just that was basically the biggest choice. Really going in there and trying to really give what they wanted around this guy just being a complete arrogant douche in 1965. Which was really fun also to have that as well, the element of the that time, because obviously people walked around and talked differently, in the 60s. There's a way they carry themselves, their look, the way the eloquence of how they speak, and I really enjoy playing period stuff. For me, it's more of character work, and that was a whole nother element as well that was very cool to bring as well to the table, and even driving the car, like I don't know if you know this, but the car that I drove is actually the original car that was in Karate Kid that Mr. Miyagi gives to Daniel, from his possession.
Is that it right there?
That's the one. Yeah, there we go. That's the one. And so we drove that on the day, which I didn't know that I was going to be driving that car until we got to set. And Ralph Macchio actually owns that car. That's his personal car. It was a gift from Jerry Weintraub to him, the producer of Karate Kid, after the first movie. He gave it to him as like a memento, and so it was pretty amazing to drive that. When they told me about that and that I was going to drive that, I was like, oh, okay, wow, this is such an honor to be driving the damn car that was, Mr. Miyagi's. The stuff that's happened in that car that was when it was used for the time. I mean, he drove Allie in that car to the golf course in the original movie. I mean, this car is a piece of history. So there's a video I posted on Instagram that I took when I actually shot that day and I was like holding the camera around. And I was, inside the car and, just talking about how cool this moment was. I mean, it was a really surreal moment to be in the car playing this character, the son of John Kreese, in this car. I almost took a Sharpie and just wrote like Cobra Kai on the side of the door. I did not do that.
Right.
Did not do that. But it was amazing. It was really cool. And the writers, John, Josh, and Hayden, they just love this stuff. And they wanted these like fun Easter eggs peppered in here for everybody and all the fans. It was just so cool. It was so surreal. And I'm a huge nerd, man. I love movies. I love, Marvel. I love, historical movies. I love, the original films of yesteryear. The Casablancas of the world, the Godfathers, all this stuff, and so to be geeking out as I did was just fantastic. I felt that, and I was excited for fans to also have that as well and to discover that.
So how many miles did you drive in that car?
I took it to Vegas a few times.
Oh, okay.
Ralph wasn't that happy about it, but it's all right. I didn't drive it too much. I think I drove it just down the street. And, it was a pretty crowded area. They had a lot of cars from the 60s that they brought in, which was cool. It was a very big day. They had a huge, we shot at this diner and they had like a dozen or so different cars, Corvettes from the 60s. When we rolled up in the transport van, I was like, whoa, they really went all out for this sequence. I mean, it was like, even the writers were like, this is big for us too. We've never done anything period before. This is our first like period scene we've ever shot. And, it was huge, big day.
Yeah.
And, they had all the extras in the diner and then the fight sequences that happened afterwards. So it was really exciting. You can tell the energy on the set was also, people had heard that I was coming down, the son of Martin Kove, and I was playing this role, bullying his younger self. So it was this cool moment that everybody was really, they felt special that they were part of. And, it was very exciting. And then, of course, there was a moment where, I meet young Kreese in real life, Barrett Carnahan, and we met in the van. And, there was kind of like, oh, is they going to be cool? These guys are going to be nice to each other. And dude, he's the nicest guy. I was so thrilled for him. And yeah, there he is. And he literally, he looks just like my dad from, the time period. He really does. I mean, the hair is perfect.
Mm-hmm.
It's just people always ask me, why didn't you play for it? Why didn't you play your dad? And I was like, dude, they cast this amazing guy. He looks just like him. He's perfect. I'm thrilled for him. We had a blast. And, I got to bully him, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
And we were thrilled, man. We were the whole time we were shooting this, we just kept talking about how cool this moment was for all of us. And, there was a special moment where we were shooting the scene, and all of a sudden, during they had cut, here trickles in my dad in the far back by Video Village. And he just kind of slowly walks in, and to him this was also a surreal moment. Seeing the first time ever seeing the younger version of himself,
Mm-hmm.
and then seeing his son, shit talking him, and it's like this circle of life just kind of closed, and it didn't feel real, man. It didn't feel real. It was just really a surreal moment for all of us, and even the writers. It was very special. And, we knew we were part of something great. And it was just one of those moments you don't forget.
Your dad, when he showed up at the diner scene, people on the down low, they're like, yo, your son is killing it, man. He is just that bully, Like, it's something, what it kind of reminds me of? I know, you remember Ken Griffey Jr. and Ken Griffey Sr. baseball? I don't know if you remember.
Yep.
But it was that moment when they both played together on the same team. You know what I mean? Even though your dad wasn't on set, he wasn't, on camera. But the fact that to see, hey, my son is tearing it up right now. It's the same thing as Ken Griffey Sr. watching his son tearing it up, on the diamond. It was just great.
It's cool, man. Thanks, dude. It's really like to compare those examples. I appreciate that. It's like, it's just one of those, it's like one of those things in life you don't really think was going to happen. I never in a million years thought I'd be in the Karate Kid universe. I mean, how the hell would I ever get involved in that ever? And, not only that, I was in like the original OG universe. You know what I mean?
Right.
I wasn't like in the Cobra Kai universe. I was in the Karate Kid universe.
Yeah.
Which is like a really special place, and it's kind of like, for me, it was like a fulfillment of legacy for me, which I'm really happy about. It's like I'll always have that moment my whole life, and it'll be on camera forever, and I'll be able to share that, and maybe tell my kids one day, you see that I'm picking on your grandfather from the, you know what I mean, and
How many days were you on? How many days were you on set?
So they brought me in. We shot all that in one day. We almost did 2 days because it was like thunderstorming. But they brought me in a week early. I did a lot of fight choreography training. They had choreographed that whole sequence, which was great. I worked out in the Cobra Kai dojo, training for that with Hiro Koda, who was the head stunt coordinator for all of it. Amazing guy. And Ken Bearfield, who was also incredible. Ken was the other guy in the scene with me in the diner. He was in that with me. He was great. And yeah, we just rehearsed for several days. They actually had filmed this whole sequence prior to me arriving, and they edited it together. And they basically made this like mock-up scene of what it would look like. And they showed it to me. Dude, I was so fucking intimidated by what they had created. I was like, you want me to do what? You want me to do this and that and all this? And they're like, yeah, it's going to be a piece of cake. And we started working out the kinks. We did it all. It took me like half an hour. We had it all down. It was incredible. I still haven't posted. I have a video of us doing the rehearsals, and I'll post it on Instagram soon. You know, I'm just slowly releasing all this great stuff.
Yeah.
And it's pretty sweet. It was an awesome moment. Again, my dad was watching this whole rehearsal go down. You know, and I'm like fighting him. Is the younger version of him. It was just great. And the other funny thing too was when we were shooting the like the fight sequences outside, like my dad was so thrilled the whole time. He had his camera out. He was like shooting everything. They were literally like, Marty, get out of the shot. It's like, you can't be in this, man. Like, you really can't be in this. And he was just having a ball, man. It was just great. It was just great.
Jesse, how many takes did it take to accomplish this scene right here, the diner right here, the picture I just posted?
We did a lot. I mean, you know, there was a lot of like really specific things that the writers wanted. You know, they wanted certain things from me to hit certain points. You know, we were on track the whole day, which was great. You know, and then there was just a lot going on, you know, with all the, you know, the extras, and then, you know, the stunt with Kreese falling, and there was just a lot going on in the diner. And then they wanted to get close-ups, and we were pretty good. You know, everything was going great. It was like, you know, the direction would be like, you know, can we just get a little bit more deceitful in this line, or, you know, maybe just say it a little louder on this point, you know, not just like little small technical things,
minor stuff.
But you know, it was pretty smooth the whole way. And again, we were having a blast doing it. We were just basically shooting the shit all day, talking about how great this is, you know, and how honored we are to be here. And it was great. It was just great.
But,
and then working with the Go ahead.
But when you're manager, right? Obviously they saw your headshot. Your manager submitted you, or did he make the phone call?
I actually don't know. It's a good question. I actually forgot. I think they had called him and they wanted me to come in. Yeah, that's what it was. They called him and they wanted me to come in for this role.
But did John Horowitz, Schlossberg, and Josh, did they know that you were Martin Kove's son?
Oh yeah, so I'd spent some time with them over the last couple of years.
Okay.
Cobra Kai premiere and seeing them around. I've had cigars with them and my dad, so we're all very, very friendly.
Mm-hmm.
And they throughout the past couple of years, like they've seen my work on. They'll always maybe like or make a comment on Instagram or something about a new movie, or they'll my dad will mention me. Oh, they saw your movie. They want to let you know you did a great job. Stuff like that. Really gracious. So. And so when this opportunity came, I think obviously it sounded like they were interested in seeing if I could, bring this to the table. And, obviously I want to hit a home run. And so I was really lucky.
Well, you did hit a home run. Are there any shows that you tested for a hit show and you're like, damn, it was between me and this guy and they gave it to a star, or just...
Oh my God, it's like endless, man. There's so many stories. I can't tell you. I mean, like soap operas, TV shows that you go up for. But at the end of the day, it's like you get to those points, and it's like, yeah, you didn't get it, and you're happy for that guy at the same time. And then you're close whenever these opportunities come up. I mean, one of my favorite projects that I did was it was a movie that I actually did in China for 3.5 months. I actually worked with Joe Fiennes, which is Ray Fiennes' brother. And it's basically this, it was a World War II movie all about when Japan invaded China, and they put, Americans and foreigners in internment camps. And, I lost a lot of weight for that movie. And I play this American businessman who falls in love with this woman, and I try to leave the country, and then I stay for love, and we end up going to a camp together, and I get sick. And Joe Fiennes, actually, it's the unofficial sequel to Chariots of Fire. He ends up playing Eric Little, the runner, who was the same in Chariots of Fire. And in the movie, he ends up running and racing like this Japanese general, the head of the camp, to try and get me medicine and make me feel better. And it's a beautiful movie, really beautiful, huge. I mean, this movie was huge.
You on
biggest movie.
3.5 months?
Yeah, I was out there for 3.5 months.
Oh my God, that's an actor's dream, man. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, it was cool, man. I mean, I definitely like I'd probably say after like a month and a half, I was like, oh, I miss a couple things, back home. But it was an amazing experience, and I was really fortunate. It's one of those things where I think I'm a really grateful person. I like to, not I'm tooting my horn, but I like to take moments just like I did in Cobra Kai and just be like, wow, like this is a great moment. I don't want to like forget this moment. You know what I mean? I don't take it for granted. I feel like that stuff really helps your spirit for the rest of your life, just to kind of like take those moments. And I did on Cobra Kai. I've done it for several projects. And even when I was in China, I would be like, God, I'm here and I'm doing this movie, huge movie. There's millions of dollars behind it, and I'm overseas doing what I love. Like this is great. I'm really appreciative, and so it just kind of grounds you, and you stay in the moment with it. And I had that moment. I mean, there was times I was there for so long. They'd be like, "Oh yeah, we don't shoot you for another 2 weeks." I was like, okay, I guess I'm just gonna go see the Great Wall and go putter around. So it was cool. It was really cool, and I was really lucky to be a part of that.
When you got Cobra Kai, right, you couldn't share it with anybody, right? You couldn't tell anybody? Because how bad, like me, if I got that show, like if they cast me, right, I want to tell all my good friends, but I can't, right? You couldn't tell anybody.
I was screaming inside. Obviously I knew this going into it. This was like they really wanted to keep this hush hush, and it was the same thing my dad experienced for season 1. He came in at the very end of season 1, with Johnny in the dojo, and for a year he literally had to pretend like he wasn't part of the show. And this was like people were being like, "Oh, John Kreese, he's got to be part of the show. He's got to be in the show." And he's like, my dad would say like, "I think he's dead." And I think I don't know. They haven't told me yet, but he knew. And that was also like, even for him, it was so hard. So having seen him go through that, I knew that I could do the same thing if I really wanted to. I mean, people were asking me like it was like a daily question: "Are you going to be part of the show? Are you playing your dad? Are you playing this? Are you doing that? Or who knows?" And I would always just say, "Oh, that would be great. It'd be so nice. It'd be awesome." And of course, I was basically lying through my teeth, but it was worth it for people because it was such a great surprise. And other than like immediate family, nobody knew. And it was really one of those things that people were just so enthralled with when they saw it. They didn't know if they were see these flashback sequences, and it's such a huge part of the story and of Karate Kid and the through line of these characters. So the writers really wanted to savor that and really wanted to make it special, and so it worked out great. And Barrett, who plays young Kreese, he and I would we were talking for that whole year about how we wish we could tell people and we want to share it with people, and especially for him playing John Kreese, it was a big deal. And then finally the weekend that it dropped, he and I were talking to each other. We were just so excited that we could just tell people about it.
Jesse, how many people came out of the woods? Because people, there's close to 50 million views of that show. You know what I mean? So how many people like, "Hey, did you remember me in high school? I was the guy that sat next to you," or some shit. Did you get all that?
I had so many people call me. They are still texting me and calling me that I haven't talked to in like 15 years, 10 years. People who I've forgotten that, obviously I remember now, but I was of course trying to be respectful of some people that reached out to me because I, didn't want to be rude, but of course I was so humbled by all the love that came out of this. Mm-hmm. But the funny thing that my dad and I kept saying to each other during this was like, everybody watches this fucking show. Like everybody watches this show. It's crazy. I mean, and it's, for good reason. It's for everyone. It's for the kids. It's for the family. I mean, everybody watched it, and the subject matter is so incredible. And we knew it was a big show, but after this season, like the amount of like you said, the phone calls that we got, even from my dad, was just nonstop. It was nonstop. And, we were so humbled and happy about that. It was just so nice to get all this love from everybody and these accolades. But it was crazy, man. Just, it's still happening. It's going on now. And, it's and the fans, man, the fans of Karate Kid and Cobra Kai are so incredible. They're obsessed. I mean, they pinpoint all this stuff. They're hunting for Easter eggs. They love the show. They love the characters. I'm so grateful for them. All the love I've been getting on social media from them has been huge. And we, my dad and I, we love connecting with the fans. It's just such a blessing, dude.
Yeah, your father, man. He's just. I love this look right here when he holds it. That was an actor character idea, like just holding it. Like,
yeah, man.
Got that look, like, yeah, this is my dojo. Yeah, I love it, man.
Dude, they didn't even want him to. He wanted to hold his collars for all of season 2, like just like that, and they wouldn't let him. The writers wouldn't let him. John, Josh, and Hayden were like, nope. There's a special moment that we're waiting for. And the moment was at the end of season 2 when he takes over the dojo and he says, I founded Cobra Kai and, it's mine. It always has been. And then he finally holds the collar here like the old ways because he was back.
Yeah.
And by the way, that's my favorite moment from season 2.
Yeah.
And then, of course, like on season 3, episode 10, the cutting back and forth, but obviously my episode I love, but the cutting back and forth between Kreese, now and in the past was beautiful. It was like this Star Wars saga, man. Like when he comes in and he talks about, he with Robbie and Johnny saying like, the three of us, 3 generations of Cobra Kai. It was so poetic, man,
Yeah. You know what's great about your dad? Even though he's not saying anything, when the camera is on him, the reaction, you could see he's really experiencing, like, I'm the badass sensei here. You know what I mean? I run the show, and he just looks. And I'm like, you see, that's a definition of a great actor, when they're really listening, when they're really, really listening. And you can see it in his eyes. And he's still in that character, man. It's like,
oh, thanks, man. That's a great compliment.
It's so much fun to watch, man. I'm like, yo, this fucking Kreese guy, man. Look at him. He's still in it, man.
I love it. Yeah, he definitely, I mean, he knows that character so well, and he does such a great job, even as an actor to an actor. He really, and something, I've learned from him as well is like, there's just such a stillness.
Yeah.
And like you said, the listening. I think part of that comes with maybe, the time, him where, his age, where he grew up. I think it's a different type of mentality because obviously today everybody wants things immediately. Everyone wants instant gratification, and he came from a world where like you had to go and fucking build shit that you wanted. You know what I mean? Which I respect and love and almost wish there was a little bit more of that today. But you know what I'm saying? There's just a bit of like,
but I'm sure I'm sure your father's the type of guy, let's say if you play sports, it's like, Dad, I fucked up today. I did bad. He wouldn't scream at you. He'd be like, listen, you just got to work a little harder. That's all. That's how he was, right, with you?
Yeah, it was more of like, it's like, okay, you got to scratch, like, scrape it off and get back out there. Like that whole, there was like a little bit of that John Kreese mentality in there for sure, and it was kind of like, if you fall, it's all right. Builds your character. You keep going. So, I'm definitely grateful for that, as well. And again, like that plays into the whole competitive, sports growing up and all that. So,
and
sure.
What kind of fan are you? Are you a huge baseball fan, football? What's your number one sport?
I love baseball, man. Baseball's great. I love football. Football's always fun to watch. I think my dad and I watch football the most together. And he's a Dallas Cowboys fan.
Wait a minute, he grew up in New York and he's a Dallas fan?
I know, but he also loves the Raiders, which is really funny. He loves several teams, man. He loves them all.
He better like the Yankees. He better be a Yankee fan.
Of course, dude. Right. Okay, I will tell you, going to a Yankees game is like the most fun you'll ever have in your life. I mean, obviously, I'm sure you know. Like because we have family out there, and I went to a Yankees game right when they built the new stadium. Holy shit, man! It was like a party. Just New Yorkers and baseball and beer. It's like the biggest party ever. Going to a Yankees game is such a different experience than going to any other game. I've been to Dodgers games, which is great, but a Yankees game, whole nother level of love and appreciation.
Hell yeah, he better be a Yankees fan, or else I'm gonna call his ass out right now. Being a Brooklyn boy, what's up with that?
Sweep his leg?
Huh? I'm gonna sweep his leg. Hell yeah. And I don't need advice from Johnny Lawrence if I'm doing the opposite.
Funny enough, my dad, he almost played professional baseball. If he didn't continue his acting career, he would have gone into like professional baseball because he was an amazing baseball player. And he has a funny story of him like breaking into, I think, Wrigley's Field. And he had these like Doberman pinchers that chased him and his buddies when he was younger. They went there, and it's a great story. I'm sure I'll remind him to talk to you about it one day. But yeah, he loves baseball. And of course, the history of baseball is so fantastic.
So let me ask you a question. When you go away, like this lovely lady right here, does she miss you to death? I mean, here's what I want to know.
You got my girl up there. I love it.
When you met her, who hit on who? You hit on her or she hit on you?
That's so funny you asked that. So that was actually so I met her at the shooting range. That's over at Theatrical. Mm-hmm. It's where Keanu Reeves trained for John Wick.
Oh, okay.
We go shooting out there all the time, and he's a dear friend. And I saw her there, and she was with her brother, who's a pro shooter, a champion shooter in the world. And I was like, oh, damn it, she's with him, and he's like the nicest guy, so I can't even like be upset about it. And then I found out that it was her brother. And so we started talking, and clearly we were hitting on each other. And before we left for the day, she goes, "You're going to take my number. Write it down."
Wow, look at
and
you.
And so we it was basically love at first sight, and no regrets. We've never looked
Jesse,
back.
I'm sure a lot of girls check you out because you're a good-looking bastard. I can see it already. All right. So how many years you been with her?
We've been together over 6 months.
Oh, so you just started then?
Yeah, but it's been amazing. We've been like it's beautiful. It's just beautiful.
Does your father like her?
Experienced a lot of life. I think if you can go through COVID with someone, you can probably go through anything, right?
Oh yeah.
Oh, you got all these beautiful photos, man. Yeah, that was up at a winery in Northern California.
See that? Look, I look out for you, right? Come on now.
I love it. That's my girl. I love her.
Anything coming up after, do you have any offers, series regular, anything? I know it's COVID, I get it, but anything like, I know you have a lot of projects in development and, finished projects, but after Cobra Kai, did anybody come up, did your manager call you and say, hey, they're offering you this?
Yeah, I mean, definitely stuff came in. I got an offer to do this movie up in Nevada, which I look forward to. Shoots in April. That's really fun. I think that's going to be it's like a romantic comedy, which would be great.
Oh,
and then I just had a movie come out like a week ago called Bring Me a Dream, which is a thriller, really fun movie. Also have another film, another thriller that I did for Lifetime that'll be out probably in the next couple months. That's called Recipe for Abduction. That's a really fun one. Also just had a Christmas movie I just came out as well over the holidays called Christmas on the Menu. That's great. And then also I always talk about this because it's such a fun one. This also came out a few months ago called Max Reload and the Nether Blasters. And that's with Greg Grunberg from Star Trek, Star Wars, and Lin Shaye from all the Insidious movies. That was directed by Scott Condit and Jeremy Tremp. It's an action, gaming, science fiction comedy. It's got everything in there. Kevin Smith is in it as well. And then, God, what else is there? I have another project I can't really talk much about it. But
and here it is. And here it is, your father saying, "No, I don't want you to become an actor. No."
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly.
I'm calling you out, Martin. If you're watching this, I'm calling you out. Look what your son's doing right now.
Oh man, I love it. But yeah, there's a lot, and then there's a couple projects that were pushed off just because of COVID that they're rescheduling, which is great. But yeah, it hasn't stopped, man. I've been really lucky, especially during COVID, that I've been working a lot, which has been great. I've been really, really fortunate. So yeah, man, the train's moving, and was so excited to have Cobra Kai release and be able to talk about it and be open about it. It's just been, again, it's been a blessing. I'm really, really grateful.
Well, you know what? You're keeping the water running. That's the bottom line. That's why I tell actors, keep the water running. You're only good as your last performance. You work when you're like on call. You're like a doctor. All right, come on. Otherwise, you're not working. So, Listen, Jesse, thank you so much. Once I end this, don't go anywhere. I just need a couple of favors from you.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Okay, but
who do I make the check out to?
Huh?
Who do I make the check out to?
Oh, you make it out to Eddie Mata, baby. You know what I'm saying? Nah,
I know what you're saying, man. I know what you're saying. I got it.
So,
I got you.
Next week, for all you guys, follow my page on Facebook, The Eddie Mata Show, YouTube, whatever. Next week, I got a former Dodger, Sean Green, February 1st, Monday. All right? Jesse Kove, talk to you later.
Thanks, guys, so much. Thanks for having me. What's up, guys? It's David from Cobra Kai. You better follow the Eddie Mata Show. You better like him on Facebook. You better follow him on Twitter. You better hit him up on Instagram. This bastard's insane, and I love him. So follow him, or I'm coming after you.
Holy shit!